Welcome! I'm Julia, and I'm here today with some GMAT verbal practice to help you on your journey to your best score. We're going to look at reading comp inference questions in this video. They're a little bit different than critical reasoning inference questions. With critical reasoning inference questions, the inference must be fully supported 100% of the time. With reading comp inference questions, the requirement is a bit less strict than something that must be true. The correct answer to an RC inference question will be something that's logically supported by the passage, but isn't explicitly stated in the passage. These questions are similar to CR inference questions in that they may be supported by a significant portion of the passage, as in all of it or most of it, or perhaps supported by a single sentence in the passage. As long as they're logically supported, it can be an inference. Let's check it out. Here is our passage. In the early days of video games, players competed primarily against computer-controlled opponents, or gathered in small groups for local multiplayer matches. However, by the late 1990s, with the advent of widespread internet connectivity, competitive gaming began evolving into something far more significant. Professional gaming leagues emerged, offering substantial prize money and attracting sponsors who saw the potential in this growing form of entertainment. While traditional sports enthusiasts initially dismissed competitive gaming, or esports, as a passing fad, its meteoric rise has proven otherwise. By 2022, major esports tournaments were drawing larger online viewership than many traditional sporting events, though in-person attendance remained relatively modest. Competitive gaming evolved from local play to major industry, with some professional leagues and attracting large audiences. The success of competitive gaming has fundamentally altered how video game companies approach game development. Where once they focused primarily on single-player experiences, many developers now prioritize competitive features and balance updates. This shift has not been without controversy. Some longtime gamers argue that the emphasis on competitive play has led to a decrease in innovation in storytelling and solo gameplay experiences. However, sales figures indicate that story-driven games continue to perform well, suggesting that the market has expanded rather than shifted entirely. So here, the game developers now focus more on competitive features than they did in the past, but there's still market share for story-driven games, and they still perform well. The most fascinating aspect of competitive gaming's evolution has been its impact on education. Several universities now offer esports scholarships, treating competitive gamers with the same consideration given to traditional athletes. Additionally, game-based learning programs have gained traction in elementary schools, with educators noting improved problem-solving skills among students who participate in structured gaming activities. Despite ongoing debates about screen time and gaming addiction, medical researchers have found that professional gamers exhibit exceptional hand-eye coordination and decision-making capabilities under pressure. So esports has influenced education, including scholarships and game-based learning, improving skills. It's clear that competitive gaming has grown into a global phenomenon, influencing game development, education, and even professional sports culture. While debates about its impact continue, its rapid expansion and mainstream acceptance suggest that esports is not just a fleeting trend, but a lasting force in the entertainment industry. Esports has grown from casual gaming into a major industry. It shapes game development, education, and entertainment. Let's look at our first inference question. Based on the information in the passage, it can be inferred that A, video game companies no longer produce single-player games, That's not true because the passage talks about how single-player games still have a market share. B, professional gaming requires different skills than traditional sports. They do talk about some of the things with traditional sports and how esports is not a passing fad. They do not talk about the different skills needed. They don't talk about the skills traditional sports needs at all. C, the popularity of competitive gaming has influenced game development decisions. That does seem to be supported by paragraph 2. We'll look at that one. Yeah, the success of competitive gaming has fundamentally altered how video game companies approach game development. So C looks pretty good. D, all universities now offer esports scholarships. Only some universities offer esports scholarships according to the passage. And E, online gaming was impossible before the 1990s. It doesn't say that. It says by the late 1990s, with the advent of widespread internet connectivity, competitive gaming began evolving into something far more significant. So C is a decent inference because the game companies have altered how they approach development based on the popularity of esports. Let's look at a slightly more challenging problem. It can be inferred from the passage that medical researchers would most likely agree with which of the following statements. They only talk about medical researchers in one place, so let's check out that place. Medical researchers have found that professional gamers exhibit exceptional hand-eye coordination and decision-making capabilities under pressure. So A, gaming addiction is not a serious concern. The medical researchers don't have a related opinion about that here. B, professional gamers develop specific cognitive and physical abilities. Hand-eye coordination is a physical ability, and decision-making capabilities are a cognitive ability, so that seems like a decent inference. C, traditional sports require less skill than competitive gaming. They are not saying that. D, all video games improve decision-making capabilities. The medical researchers don't have an opinion on all video games, according to the passage. They are only talking about how they have found that professional gamers exhibit exceptional hand-eye coordination and decision-making capabilities under pressure. And E's screen time concerns are unfounded. The medical researchers do not state an opinion on that. So I'm thinking B is a pretty solid inference. Excellent. Let's look at one more inference question. Based on the information presented in the passage, which of the following can be inferred about the relationship between competitive gaming and traditional gaming markets? Okay, this is talked about throughout the passage, so we will look at a few different things. Where once they focused primarily on single-player experiences, many developers now prioritize competitive features and balance updates. Sales figures indicate that story-driven games continue to perform well. The market has expanded rather than shifted entirely, and game-based learning programs have gained traction in elementary schools, with educators noting improved problem-solving skills among students who participate in structured gaming activities. Let's look here. A, the rise of competitive gaming has created a more diverse gaming industry than previously existed. That looks pretty good because it looks like competitive gaming has expanded development from simply like solo player games to competitive games and also to educational games. B, traditional gaming markets have been replaced by competitive gaming. No, they have not. It says that story-driven games continue to perform well, suggesting that the market has expanded rather than shifted entirely. C, story-driven games are now marketed mostly to older gamers. The passage doesn't really talk about who story-driven games are marketed to, only that gaming has evolved over time. So C is not fully supported. D, competitive gaming has had little effect on traditional gaming markets. D is directly contradicted by the passage's discussion of developmental changes. And E, the success of competitive gaming proves that single-player games are becoming obsolete. E is contradicted by the statement about how the market has expanded rather than shifted. The answer to this one does require a more holistic understanding of the passage because it pulls from several locations, but as you can see, it's still not too difficult to rule out bad answers with a little bit of patience and attention to detail. So A is our best answer. Hopefully this practice session helped you see some of the nuances between the different types of inference questions that you're going to encounter on the GMAT. They require a lot of the same skills that you've already developed through your test prep, and though they may seem intimidating at first, you can get the hang of them with some practice. See you next time.